have our series of hearts and star templates. We have 3 sizes of hearts, 5.5, a 4.5, and a 3.5. Again, we tried to make the openings as narrow as possible so that when you come around, you have less likelihood of clipping or distorting your heart shape with that little opening. So again, yeah, you gotta pick her up to put her on and get her through that narrow part of the shaft, and then you can position her. And as you can see, they're all beveled on the top, just like the other rulers. And we have 2 sizes of stars. We put the stars in ovals, so those times you do need a big oval. This ruler or this template could be a dual-purpose template for you. You have a 6-inch star, or you have a very large oval, and here's a 4-inch star in an oval. We also have 2 new oval templates so far. We have a 3 by 5.5 inch, meaning this is a 5.5 inch. This is a 3-inch diameter, and we have a 1.5 by 3.5. So 1.5 inch diameter this way, 3.5 inch diameter this way, and it just gives you something to start playing with. I've used these a couple times now. One time was a cute little frog quilt. You filled up my sashing with little jumps that kind of looked like the frog was jumping down the quilt, using the small oval. Another option, you could play here. You could see where I was playing around and using just an oval to very quickly make a flower. I could have added more petals and just kept going. It's kind of like has a little bit of a spirograph effect, but you can just quickly make ovals off the center and make yourself a very quick medallion in the middle. Feather it out or leave it, or just some options of how you can play with your ovals. I want to revisit an old friend from our first video, one of my inner circles. I keep getting lots of requests asking when we're going to make a clamshell tool. Well, this is my clamshell tool, and I don't intend on making a long clamshell tool, and I want to show you why. I showed you in the previous demo how to use this in sashing, but if I wanted to do clamshell filler, just do a big fill in a big area, this works just fine. So let me give you a quick demo of how this works. This happens to be my 2.5 inch, which means I'm going to get a 2-inch diameter of my clamshell, okay? I have an odd shape on this little quilt. Typically we don't have triangle or angled lines, but that's okay. This will work fine. So I put my etch lines, see the center lines, right on my seam or my ditch for my lowest row. I start on the bottom of the area, okay? And off I go. I do half a circle. I swing her around. Half a circle, swing her around. I'll just do a few because I want to show you how I would go up and do the next row. Okay, let's say now I'm ready to come back. I've hit well, I'll do one more and then we'll come back. Okay, let's say I have a vertical seam right here. Of course you can't see. So I do stitch in the ditch up the seam until 2 things. One, this etch line is exactly on top of the previous clamshell, and this vertical, I go all the way up until keeping this etch line on my seam, my vertical seam. So I'd go to about here, and then I just come back. And see how now all I have to do is keep these 2 etch lines on top of my previous clamshells. And it really does hit back in the middle each time. This is why I've decided not to make a long clamshell tool. I find this much easier to do, much easier to hold and manipulate than a large clamshell tool. So again, I would go up until these are hitting the top. Oops. Oh, it's supposed to be here. Again, I keep bumping my clamshell tool. I'm getting these little bumps here. I'm not standing directly in front of my machine, so I have room for the camera, but you'll have to forgive me for those, but then off I come back again. Hold that ruler or that template a little tighter, and off I come. I'll stop there, but you could see where I could do a feel with clamshells very quickly just using my circle templates. And that is why we have the etch lines in there, so you can play with all these shapes. Okay, so yeah, I don't anticipate at this time making another clamshell tool or a standalone clamshell tool.